All right, you're all in my 1 second for today. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. I hope that I can give you some information today that is helpful and that you learn something and that you find it entertaining. I have a lot of samples from a lot of different companies of things that are happening today that they're doing for real. This isn't a hypothetical, this is going to do this or this can do that. I'm going to show you some real stuff. Before I start though, can I get a show of hands? Who has a VR headset? Oh, excellent. So like more than half the room. Excellent. Great. So the metaverse and Web3 are terms. I'll define the metaverse a little bit, and I'll define Web3 a little bit. And I know, Lisa, you said there's a Web3 event coming up, and I'm just going to touch on that today. I'm not going to touch on it too much. But basically, it involves things that go from our physical world all the way into a completely 100% immersive digital world and everything in between. And kind of on that line, you would start with things like augmented reality, which are things that you can do on your phone, like when you're doing a filter on Instagram or Snapchat, where it's putting a hat on you or giving you some makeup, or maybe you're putting something on your desk, or maybe you're playing Pokemon Go. Mixed reality is a little more complex, where it might scan the room and understand not just flat horizontal and surfaces, but might understand other things. And then you can maybe take a digital ball and kind of toss it and it'll land on a shelf that is there in real life because it scanned the room and it understands that. That might require some headsets, like maybe from Microsoft and Magic Leap. And then virtual reality, this is mostly what I'm going to talk about today. So this is such a huge topic, I needed to create a little bit of focus so that I could get my arms around it and give you something that you could focus on. This is really what I'm going to focus on. So if you ask me questions about these, I'm happy to answer, but I'm not going to really dive into those too much today. And then I'm going to start with a video that is from 2016, which is like ancient if you think about it. This is what they thought augmented reality would be like in 2016. And it's a little bit long, but I'll let it start and then I'll let it play for a few minutes. And 7 years ago, this is what they thought. Oh wait, actually before I do that. Okay, so the metaverse. The metaverse is a bunch of meta worlds right now. And some of them you probably heard of are Roblox and maybe Fortnite. And there's Horizon Worlds. This one was created by Meta. Engage, Decentraland is very popular, spatial. And these are all meta worlds. Was there a question?
Minecraft is also
yeah, actually, and I have a Minecraft sample in here. I should put it on there. Thank you. But there is no metaverse today. It does not exist. I'm sorry. But when these interconnect, and you can go from one to the other with your same avatar and your same identity, then you will have a metaverse, right? So the metaverse is an idea or a concept, just like you can kind of go from one website to another. You can jump from one meta world to another, but you kind of have to create a new identity in that place. When they interconnect, we'll have a metaverse. And there will be meta worlds and meta locations and metaversities and all of these things inside of them. But the metaverse doesn't exist yet. But this is the plan for it. Now I'll show the video. You know this one. It's so good. Right. This poor woman's having an existential crisis on the bus. As advertisers or marketers, you're either salivating at all your opportunities or you're vomiting. I'm not sure. All right, so that was around the city. And this is a potential shopping example of what this could happen. So you got your shopping list, you have your shopping assistant. Yeah, this is like if you had a headset on. This would be mixed reality, all of this example. But this is what they thought it would be like 7 years ago. So you're seeing coupons pop up on certain products, probably targeting you. And then, like all good movies that have AI where it goes wrong, she starts to get hacked. And don't want your account to be hacked. But what's interesting here, you can see it's glitchy.
Buen día, Emilio. ¿Qué puedo hacer por usted? ¿Qué está pasando? Mis puntos están bien. No se preocupe, sus puntos están seguros conmigo. ¿Le puedo ayudar en algo más, Emilio? Yo no soy Emilio, yo soy Juliana Restrepo. Por favor, espera.
Hola, Juliana Restrepo. Me alegra verte. ¿Qué puedo hacer por ti?
Mis puntos están bien. ¿Qué está pasando?
Tranquila, todo está bien. Parece que alguien está intentando vulnerar su cuenta. Por favor, espere mientras reinicio su dispositivo.
All right, and now the system reboots. And this is what you see in real life. And now she's fine again. Okay, so it's a really good example of what, predicting the future, what might it hold. A lot of great things. It told her when to get off the bus. It showed her that it wasn't safe to step onto the street. It started to show her coupons as she was shopping in real time. It showed her list. She could put things in her cart. It checked the things off her list for her, right? So there's a lot of things that this may or may not do in the future. I think that was a really good example. So I've broken the presentation down into a couple categories because some of you might be in work for healthcare or consumer B2B. I wasn't sure. So a couple examples here. I'll start with this one from Miller Lite.
Welcome to the first big game ad in the Metaverse.
How's it a big game ad if it's not even in the same universe as the big game?
Well, farmer, because we have a culturally relevant pop star. And majestic horses.
What do horses have to do with beer?
And to appeal to the masses, we added puppies, avocados from another country, aliens, a Miller Lite robot, explosions, overly dramatic music, and more. Yes. And in a not so subtle attempt to get press, we'll launch this ad exclusively in the Metaverse.
Wait, where are we?
Well, it's just like reality, but with worse graphics. Oh yeah, don't forget my comic tagline.
So that ran at the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So from a consumer perspective, Miller Lite putting their foot in. During the U.S. Open here, right here in Miami, there were several pavilions that were created in Decentraland. So at the beginning, I showed you all those different meta worlds that aren't connected yet. So sometimes I'll put that down here to tell you which one they built in. And Cuervo built one, and Grey Goose built one. And you could go in, you could do activities. Some of them had representatives you could speak to. They don't have samples because you have a headset on. They don't have coupons because it's alcohol. But it's an opportunity to interact with a brand, and you're interacting with a brand for multiple minutes. So if you think about like an advertisement, how long do you interact with that ad? Sometimes you're counting that in very few seconds, right? How much time did someone see your ad? So when you build something like this and you can bring people in, it's like creating an activation, but in a space that anybody can go to. Decentraland runs in a browser, which means you can just go to your browser and log in. It does require you to connect to an NFT wallet if you want to purchase things in there, but you can do it as a guest if you don't want to. It doesn't run in a headset yet. Horizon Worlds, I mentioned, is built by Meta. The Wendyverse is kind of fun. It's, again, I don't know if there was a collaboration or not, but one of the things they do, I think, really well, so they have some games. They have like the hamburger game, and you can like slide them and get points, and there's a leaderboard, and you can see how you're doing. But what they do really well is there are, it's like a scavenger hunt. There are 5 things in the Wendyverse that you can go to, and if you find all 5, you get a coupon for a free 6-piece chicken nugget, right? And so now they're connecting the visitors who go here to the real world and giving you an offer, and then they're able to track how many of those coupons are redeemed, which helps them to see kind of maybe some of that ROI. So it's not just to go here to play games and get on the high board, but it's also a way to get some. And then they also have a frosty mountain, which is like an alpine skiing. And if you do not get nauseous in VR, you can try it. But otherwise, I would not recommend high jump skiing in VR. And then Decentraland started Metaverse Fashion Week 2 years ago, and now they've been doing it 3 years in a row. And huge brands, it's actually getting bigger every year. Huge brands are coming in and building out these fashion portals or rooms or areas. They're buying the property in Decentraland and setting up these amazing things that people are going to, and then they're building this fashion in the virtual world that you can then, in theory, purchase those for your avatar. So again, we don't have a metaverse yet, so if you purchase something in the Decentraland and put on some nice shoes, you can't take those to the other meta worlds yet, right? And that's why when these connect and become a metaverse, and you're able to buy some fashion for your avatar, then you'll be able to take it to other locations. A recent stat showed that 50% of Roblox users change their outfit every day. So, what?
I can't tell you how I get hit up on a regular basis for Roblox. Mom, get out of Roblox. I want skin.
Yeah, exactly. 50% change their outfit every day. So people are like, why are they doing this? And Gucci built in Roblox. So you're like, Roblox is just for kids. Yet the Gucci garden was rebuilt in Roblox. So it is not just for kids when you hear things like this. These are major brands that are luxury products that are able to create fashion that people want for their avatars, just like they do in real life. Because it's basically a digital representation of themselves. So if I have a nice watch in real life, I want my digital representation to have a nice watch. I mean, it is all there, right? It's like we all dress a certain way here, and the psychology of what we wear and why we wear it is the same in these digital worlds.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. As millions flock to the metaverse, many are experiencing unnecessary pain and suffering, terrible car crashes, frightening trip and falls, and on-the-job injuries. Our army of over 800 attorneys and 4,000 support staff have recovered billions for clients just like you. Injured? Just dial pound law. That's all. Morgan & Morgan, America, and now the universe's largest injury law firm.
Right. So it's hokey, but what I think is interesting is they actually, from my perspective, because I know what's going on, I'm like, they actually recorded some of this in Roblox, some of this in Fortnite, some of this in another meta world I'm not even familiar with, or I couldn't quite tell what it was. So when I see this ad, I'm like, wow, these guys have a presence in a lot of meta worlds. They know what's going on, right? And you might not have even picked up on that. You might be just like, oh, it's another Morgan ad. But I'm like, they're really showing that they're leading the way by not just having a presence in one meta world. They're in many, right? So I thought that was very interesting how they kind of did that. Yeah, a little blockier too, but all right. So this is my. I do want to talk about NFTs and Web3 because it does connect to the meta a little bit. So, familiar with Beeple? This is the first major NFT that was created that was worth millions of dollars. Artifact started to create some shoes. They got very popular. Nike bought them. You can buy these now. This screenshot's old, but I'm not sure what 0.54 Ethereum is right now. Do you know? No. Yeah. I don't know. 1,200. Yeah. So about $1,200. So again, you can buy these. These go up and down in value. They have a limited minting, so there's only so many out there. So this is supply demand, and then you can decorate and put these on your avatar. So the reason I'm connecting some of these though is because like Decentraland, you can connect your wallet and then you can make purchases. So the idea would be all of these meta worlds will probably have some sort of wallet connected to your avatar. Like you have an Apple wallet on your phone. In the meta worlds, you're going to have a digital wallet or an NFT wallet. You're just going to use NFTs for the transactions. They're all going to be on the blockchain. So the metaverse will be fueled by the commerce of the blockchain. And when you go in, you can purchase things, and you might be able to purchase art or avatar things or other things. So Komodo is a restaurant in Miami. They have an NFT that lets you purchase this dessert, right? So the NFT is like in this case, it's like access or maybe like a loyalty card, right? So NFT is a loyalty card. It allows you to go there and purchase this $50 dessert, which is amazing. And then you're like, oh, okay, I've had the dessert enough. You can actually sell the NFT and get your money back. And it might go up in value because more people heard about this amazing dessert and they want to put it on their Instagram and they think there's value in that. But then when you're done, you can then sell that NFT. So it's like access, the only way to get to this. And then to take that to the next level, Coachella is selling NFTs that are like backstage passes, right? So again, these are access, NFTs that gives you access. So NFTs started maybe as art, like with the Beeple, and then they became things, like with the Nike shoes, but now they're becoming access or loyalty cards. And in the future, they might become like the tickets to the Dolphins game or something, because like they can't be counterfeited, they can't be scalped, right? So this access with NFTs might become very large and will power the metaverse. All right, a couple education examples. Dr. Morris from Morehouse College in Atlanta was a speaker at one of my webinars, and she was phenomenal. She got ahead of the game, and they built a digital campus in the Engage meta platform, like right when COVID happened. They're like, we have these kids, they were supposed to come to this summer program, this has been shut down, this is awful, we need to make this happen, and they did it digitally, and they did it quickly, and so one of the first. But then, as an academic and a PhD, she was like, well, we need to kind of prove the effectiveness of this. So they started to do certain things, and she has multiple. I just showed you the history one here, but like compared to brick and mortar, and then comparing to online school, and then metaversity, meaning how are the kids doing when we compare to these other learning modalities. Student attendance, engagement, and achievement, you can see are all up in the metaversity. So I asked her if this is because it's got like that new shiny factor. And she said maybe, but they're going to continue to do these as time goes on and see how that changes over time. Here's a quick video. I cut it a lot to kind of show some highlights, so I took the audio off, but it just shows like that's what the actual campus looks like. And then they actually made we call it a digital twin, meaning it's supposed to look identical for the students, for the student purposes of their digital. And then she's a chemistry teacher, so she was like, it's really kind of cool to be able to take the kids in and actually show chemistry together. And then they also do it for health. That was a lung, this is a heart. And then you can see the students together going through portals to go somewhere. And this is a reproductive system of some sort. This is a history lesson. So again, making things interesting, like things you can do in VR easily that you can't do in real life is you can be very, very tiny or very, very large. You can go forward in time or backwards in time. Right? Those are kind of more difficult concepts in the real world here. So dentistry. Yeah, this one was like this crushing thing would come down like you'd, anyway. So anyway, lots of things. And then this was one, this is a chemistry lesson. So another thing that happened during COVID is that they had to ship labs out to students, right? And this costs money to ship labs out to students. And sometimes those labs might have chemicals in them. So like here's a Bunsen burner. He just put his hand over it. I don't know if you saw, but it did not burn him. And then you can take the stick out of the vial, and this one burned yellow, and you can safely put it into the water. And then he'll grab another one, and then you'll see he puts this on there, and let's see what color this chemical is, blue, right? So the idea is you can still get the complete full effect of what this lab might have presented when they shipped you a box with a little 200 vials of things and told you to burn it with some sticks and have to be safe and all those things, and chemicals and smoke and all those things. So the ability to do and reproduce labs in VR, but not just by yourself, because once you're in VR, you can do it with the professor, with your classmates. You're not just stuck at home. So cost-saving measure there. What did I just do? Don't know what happened.
I remember in college having to go take chemistry and having to go buy my own lab supplies. Like, I had to buy my own.
Right.
I hated that. It's like, when am I
Right.
gonna use these again?
Ever, never, right? And then your Minecraft example. So Harvard, this was a student-built building that they did on campus. Again, when COVID happened, the students were like, we need a digital place where we can get together because we're not together in real life. They built their own. So this wasn't even school-driven, but it was done in Minecraft. So I agree with that. A couple travel examples. Emirates and Qatar Airlines, lots of money. They have the opportunity to experiment with things. This one is Qatar. You can actually kind of go and she greets you and lets you click business class or first class, and then it kind of takes you to a lounge. You can book. Emirates has where you can pick your seat, so you can get on the plane in VR and see all the different seat configurations because they have the ones that lay down and the privacy and all these things. You can go find the seat that you want and then literally click on the seat you want and book it in VR so you can see it ahead of time, which I thought was super interesting. We'll see how that plays out. This one is from Hilton. Oh, this one has audio, so I'll let this one play.
We really needed to make sure that our corporate team members understand the complexity of working in a hotel. Oculus for Business has really shifted the way we work. We can truly upskill team members faster and really focus on empathy building, which was a game changer for us. We noticed that we can use this tool to be able to really help our team members practice different scenarios of building empathy with our guests and make sure that we are delivering best-in-class service. Hi, I'm here to check in. If we were to try to do this in a traditional setting, when you have 400,000 team members, that is not something that comes in an inexpensive way for us, and nor do I think it's realistic.
Every time there's been a significant advancement in the way you interact with computers, something great happens. So when the Quest came out, it was groundbreaking for us because just like that, you have 60-hour efficacy experience. Having all this available to you allows you to concentrate in what's most important, like getting what the client sees when they close their eyes and making it happen.
To me, virtual reality is absolutely the future of learning. It just genuinely immerses the team member in the experience. Once you see this and can experience how much it can build empathy and change behavior, it's really the best tool by which we can simulate a real experience.
When clients ask, how can you develop this? How can you create this for the masses? Now we have an answer for them. The Quest.
Right. So that's a really good case study. They're doing it now. This video is 2 years old. They're still doing it today. They've expanded their training program. You see training pops up a lot on here because training is something that is replicable and you're going to do it over and over again. This is a perfect environment for that kind of thing. And then this is a hotel concept where you can, I don't want to build a meeting space like this. You can rent one in a hotel in VR, and you can actually buy them as NFTs, and then when you're done, sell them. You can buy rooms, you can buy hotel rooms, and then you can rent it out. So like let's say you want to have a SFIMA event in a VR environment, and you don't have one. You can just rent this. It includes the golf course, the dance club, the nightclub with the bar, all those things in VR. So he's like literally building a hotel in the metaverse that's acting like a hotel in the real world that you can rent a room and rent out the space and use it as you need to. And then when you're done, you're done. And that one's built in the sandbox. And then this is one example that Starmark created where we made in the travel space, this would be like a virtual sales center for vacation homes. So the idea would be that users could come in here and kind of mimic what a real world sales center might be like, but these are people who are traveling from wherever, all over the world. And so they could see all these different houses in these different categories, and then kind of say like which one they might want to look at. And then you would click on one, so to speak. And then maybe a dollhouse version, we call it, or a floor plan might show up in 3D, so you can kind of see what that property might look like. And then when you click on that, you can utilize some 360 photography you might already have, or some 360 videos you might already have, because we've been shooting 360 photography and 360 video for years and years and years. If you can take assets you've already spent money on and already own and then use them in VR, it's a win for everybody because you're not having to spend that money again, right? So you might want to invest money in things that you don't have, but if you can repurpose assets you already have, then that's great. All right, a couple B2B examples. So manufacturing is probably the industry that's using VR more than any other industry. I don't know that we have a lot of manufacturers in here, but they use it a ton. And this is just one slide I found that kind of showed like, here's all where we're using it. And plus we're using it in more places, right? And so it's, training I mentioned, but it's also like training in physical locations. They're using it for design and prototyping. They're using it to test certain things before they build it. They're using it a lot. And then I found this really good video from this company where all they do is kind of the manufacturing side, but they make these, basically they call them one-to-one scale models, which is a digital twin, right? So, and that means that they can produce these things from CAD files or BIM files ahead of time. You can see like, oh, when I walk down this hall, there's a beam that's too low, or a pipe sticking out, or a valve, or let's try this, or let's try that, or how's maintenance gonna work on this when we need to switch this out? They can test all those things ahead of time. And so, and you can see this is all heavy in that manufacturing. They're actually testing some maintenance things here to make sure it'll all work, before they actually build or construct anything. And then this is like a materials list. So they can also change out materials to test different materials in the system, which I thought was interesting. And basic things like color. You can see they're collaborating. I'm not really sure what headset they're on. Do you know what they're wearing? It just looks like they look like polarized lenses, yeah, to create the 3D effect. Yeah. Yeah. But you can have remote collaborators from other countries getting together, testing things, trying things. So the manufacturing and industrial space, measuring things, making sure things will fit. So all of this is being done right now today.
This is your first step, right? Before you even 3D print something, because even 3D
Yeah.
printing takes 24 hours.
Right.
That's too long.
Yeah.
to actually see if your
That was photogrammetry by a drone. Did you see that last shot there too? So, but yeah, you're right. This is the first place you try things before you even 3D print.
That's expensive, and it takes materials and it takes time.
Yep. All right, and then this was a Starmark example we did. So our idea here, this is in B2B. We're in B2B sales land now. So in B2B world, these can be very expensive purchases. So our idea here was let's build something that you can demonstrate anywhere. So someone flies in on a helicopter, they have some sort of tech device. You take that tech device, you plug it into this product that is a very expensive product for air gap systems. So that means like power plants or data centers or things like that. So you take the thing in, you plug it in, and then it'll tell you, is the data on this laptop or hard drive or jump drive good and clean? It can enter the facility at the airport or whatever it might be. So the idea with a sales system like this is that your best salesperson can be in the sales presentation all the time, no matter where they're located. You could do a sales presentation in Seattle one day, and then you could do one in Tel Aviv the same day in the afternoon, because you might be here in Florida. You don't have to travel, they don't have to travel, but you're able to kind of demonstrate some physical things that would be much more difficult to do in real life.
But Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures relies on large overseas tour groups as a major part of its business. So when 2021's pandemic-related travel restrictions prevented European, South American, and other travel planners from visiting Boggy Creek for fam trips, it posed a danger to 60% of the park's revenue. Because reaching just one travel planner can mean multiple annual tour buses to Boggy Creek, continuing outreach through fam trips was essential, despite the barriers. But the more conventional approach of hosting Zoom tours dramatically undersells the on-the-ground experience for visitors at Boggy Creek. So we created a new way to reach these important tour operators in virtual reality, the ultimate way to take Boggy Creek anywhere in the world. This VR solution needed to be able to capture the entire Boggy Creek experience. The airboat tours, the fossil and gem mining, the butterfly garden, the Native American village, and the park. Boggy Creek's sales team can now take international cabin crews on a real-time, personalized adventure, far surpassing anything they could see on Zoom or Meet, proving that when VR expertise meets real-world opportunity, the potential is unreal.
So we obviously did that. So this was last year, and last year, like 60% of their business was fam tours from Europe, and that got all shut down in COVID. And so they still couldn't get the European tour operators to come to the United States. So they hired a salesperson in England and Germany, and then sent them a headset, and they went around the different tour operators, and then their salesperson in Orlando got on the headset and gave them the virtual tours to try to book these. This year, they're like, let's do phase 2. We want more. This is going great. They're actually now, the salesperson will travel to Europe, but the European tour operators still aren't traveling to the US for some reason. So now they're just taking it to phase 2. They're taking the headsets to Europe and having the virtual tours and showing them the park and getting them the book, 60 people on a bus, and then they'll do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buses, right? So this, in a B2B example, the investment in these products makes a lot of sense when you're booking things like that. All right, healthcare. Anybody work in healthcare? Should I just skip? All right, I won't skip this chapter. Just for you. I tease. All right, if you're squeamish, look away. So this is training. Training. And again, better to train in virtual reality, especially on things like that. You can train on new equipment. You can train on procedures. And digital twins. There's a children's hospital that has rendered some of their rooms before they take the kids in, which is kind of a very nervous thing. Kids get a lot of anxiety. They put the headset on them and they show them exactly what they're going to see and exactly what they're going to experience in a completely safe environment, right? So you're going to enter into this room. We're going to get in this thing. You're going to hear this noise, right? Completely safe. And then when the kid feels comfortable, then they actually do the procedure for real. So it makes the kid, and I think this is a great example of, something they can use over and over again.
Adam Davis is Galvestado's patient technology specialist. He helps kids feel at ease during times that are anything but easy.
They're here tonight for 3 days. They can get really bored.
But Adam doesn't just offer the tech toys for entertainment. They're used as an escape during treatments, too.
If it's during a procedure where they just don't want to see people going in them, they don't want to see their cord being active or anything, I can put the goggles on their head and just take it on. And I have it in my iPad. It's more appropriate to you.
They can try out a trip to space. Or life underwater. Or go just about anywhere in between.
Went to Japan recently. I went to the pyramids a couple of days ago, just for the heck of it.
Then there's games to keep patients active.
Beat Saber is the most requested game that I always have because it really helps the patients ambulate and move and get up.
Virtual reality is just one of several ways patients can get their mind up with actual reality.
In every patient's room, there is a PlayStation 4. They're able to watch Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu.
And Adam's always researching the newest tech to stay on top of what's trendy, so he can keep doing what never gets old.
I can go in and just see the smile on their face. I have one girl who loves it. She's doing chemo right now, so she's lost her hair, but she'll do her eyelashes for me because she can do the VR goggles. That's like one thing she has control over. So seeing that smile when I get patients, that's what brings me back every day.
Megan Miller, ABC 7.
So great example there. And that's right in Fort Myers. So that's right now, not too far from here. But, that was happening today, right now. So dentists, I think it's a great idea. Any procedure.
Well, you have a TV, but
Right.
you put the glasses on you, and then their hand is right in your face. So it's not like you can see the TV anyway.
Right. All right, I only have 2 tech slides because I couldn't find any examples of these, but I really wanted to put them in here. But like remote wellness, medical consultations and visits have been happening for a long time, and then they became Zoom. But I think what's going to happen is connecting virtual reality headsets to IoT devices, meaning your watch and things like that. You'll be able to have these remote consultations with a doctor in a VR environment that is, you know, private. Still have that conversation, and then also treating conditions. You know, I've heard of this, but I have not been able to find a good video. But I mentioned, you know, kind of getting the kids to be familiar with the environment. If you're claustrophobic or agoraphobic, and you like, we're going to put your headset on you, we're going to walk you into an elevator in VR, but you're completely safe in a completely safe environment. But it'll help you get over maybe that particular phobia, or you can work on getting over that phobia in a completely safe way. So, or fear of public speaking. You know, we know that at Morehouse College, Dr. Morris had mentioned some of her kids who had, you know, intense fears of speaking in real life in front of the class could do it much more easily in the headset, right? So there are lots of these types of condition treating that can happen in VR in a completely safe environment. The virtual environment might be what triggers you, but you in the back of your mind, you know, you're like sitting in this office and you're completely safe, or whatever it might be, to help you get over those things. This is one we've piloted. We're calling this like a Zen garden. And our idea is just simply a place where people who might be, you know, in long-term care or bedridden can go and just sit and stare at some koi and watch some cherry blossoms fall and have 30 minutes of getting out of the room and getting out into the world in peace, and lowers the heart rate, lowers the blood pressure. And then we're like, well, it would also be great because in Florida, especially, you know, South Florida with the older population, a lot of times the children maybe aren't local. So they might be like in Pennsylvania or something. Well, guess what? They can also hop in and sit next to their parents and talk. And it's like you're right there with them. You get the presence, you get the conversation, right? And maybe once a week, you know, it's a way to visit with your parents, or the parents to visit with the kids in a peaceful environment and wherever they might be down here. All right, I have a few government examples.
I'm Mayor Rodney Harris, and welcome to the city of Miami Gardens, home to internationally recognized events such as the Garden, the Super Bowl, the Miami Tennis Open, and the Miami Grand Prix Formula One. Residents and visitors can take advantage of our beautiful parks, sports, music, diverse dining experiences, entertainment, and more. We invite you to live, work, play, dine, shop, invest, and innovate right here in Miami Gardens. It's where you want to go to discovermiamigardens.com for more information.
All right, so this was built in Keek VR, which I had never heard of, so I downloaded it just so I could hop in there. And if you got the emails or the social post, you probably saw that I took a screenshot of myself in front of the stadium over here. This is now open. When this video was created, it was still under coming soon. But basically, they're using it as an opportunity to basically market and promote the destination. So there wasn't a lot of locals stuff in there. I was hoping maybe like I could gather or meet other people, or, you know, from around here, but it really wasn't like that. It's more marketing and promotion, things to do. So it's like a virtual sales tool, so to speak, to help people know this destination better. And then Orlando is branding themselves the Meta Center, and they've registered the metacenter.org, and they're getting lots of PR. And I guess if you say it right now, it's true. But they're saying that because of all the resources they have in Central Florida, that they're keenly positioned to kind of own or dominate the development of things that are valuable in the meta world. The mayor of Orlando did a simulcast in a meta world and in real life at the same time. So I think that was interesting. So I mean, they're trying, and they're putting a stake in the ground, and we're seeing what other municipalities are going to do or not do. Boston is very, you know, it doesn't look amazing, but what they're doing is amazing. Basically, if a new building comes up for proposal, like happens here in Fort Lauderdale once in a while, they put in the actual size. This is built at scale, actual size. They put the building in an actual size before they do the conversation and the vote, so people can go in and say, you know, what is this going to look like? How is it going to appear? And they can walk around and they can look at it. And then when they're approved, they turn them green. So they're using it as a development tool to have a conversation with the citizens in this meta world of at scale Boston. This is available online, and you can actually go there and you can check it out yourself, and it's completely public, and they're using it to open up a conversation, which I think is a great thing for a municipality to invest in something like that. Austin was built, downtown Austin was built by South by Southwest, so that's South by Southwest went online during COVID, and they built the downtown, and it was lots of fun. This was built in VR chat. They had lots of seminars. You could go in and speak. There was networking, just like we were doing earlier. There was places you could go. They also had, this is kind of a big environment, so they had like golf carts and helicopters. You could just grab a helicopter, like you grab it and it would take off and it would like take you to the other end, because walking through this was kind of large. So, but it made it also fun, and did network, met people from all over the world in all different time zones. So that was kind of cool. And then Barbados, so this is in Decentraland. I haven't been able to visit it, so I don't think it's live yet, but they announced it, and I think it's a brilliant idea. But basically, they're building like a consulate, for lack of a better term, right? So you have citizens all around the world, and maybe where is my local consulate that I might need to go to for my home country? Well, you can just log in and go and check on papers or talk to someone. Right, so you don't have to, like, here you might have to like go to Miami to do it, right? Because there's not one any closer. But in VR, you can do it from anywhere. So I think this is a great idea, and I think from a government perspective, governments doing things like this to help their citizens makes a lot of sense. All right, and then I am going to mention AI for a minute because a lot of people are like, "Oh, isn't the metaverse dead? Isn't AI the new thing?" And like, metaverse doesn't even exist yet, and it will. It's going to take time, and AI actually helps build the metaverse. So you probably have, like, we just had 2 months ago, was it? Or Brett Kapke came in and we talked about ChatGPT, and it was talking about text, and he showed all the photos in his deck were AI. You can build 3D models in AI, like a stack of pancakes covered in maple syrup, output a file and a texture, and then you can drop this into your 3D environment, and then you can do like a bunny sitting on a top of, right? So you're not getting very optimized assets yet, like, meaning I wouldn't use them for production, but in time they're going to get better and they're going to become optimized, and you'll be able to use them in production. So producing these things is going to get better and faster and easier. Right now, these are quite large files, so if I put them into like the Quest 2 headset, it would probably, my frame rate would drop and then performance would start to lag a little bit, right? So, but I think for quick mock-ups and concepting and showing clients ideas and getting rapid prototyping, great. But for production, not yet, but I think it's going to happen. So I want to talk about that. And I'm just going to end with a Starmark video. So thank you for coming to the main. I don't know if you know, but we named and branded this building. And then we actually created a 3D version of it as well. So we created what we call a digital twin of our office. So I'll show you that. That's the room you're in now, actually. This environment at the end is a 1 by 1 foot grid on the ground. And it's really perfect for building things quickly at scale. All right. Thank you.